something's wrong in our country with the institution of heterosexual marriage.
If these laws, like if getting gay married bothers you that much, then why in the world did you elect people that was going to be pro get gay married? You know what I mean?
Well,
I mean, if you don't like these laws, then put people in office that will work to enact laws that, better represent you as a person.
How about praying before you go in the voting booth?
Yeah. See, if the church had took a stand when they should have, like back when they said, okay, we're going to take prayer out of school, that would have been a great time for the church to take a stand and not let up off of it. That would have been a great time. But we got crickets, see. My problem with my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ is that we are paying attention to all the wrong things. And in doing so, we are driving people away from Jesus Christ. One of the most uncomfortable truths, my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, the one that they don't want to hear the most, is that part of the reason people hate you so much, or hate us so much, is because we as Christians have somehow took it upon ourselves to try to shame others into behaving the way that we think they should.
Or we've also tried to construct laws to coerce people into our faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not Christian either. You don't compel people into church.
No,
that's not how...
The beauty of Christ is that he makes his case all by himself. If you present the case of Christ correctly, there is no argument against it.
Now, do we need to double down on pointing the way to the cross? Yes. This is if this is what it takes to motivate you to do it, then use it and start pointing people to the cross. If that's what it takes.
But stop driving them from it.
Yeah, let's.
We're going about this the wrong way. I mean, really and truly.
Some
Both sides are going about this the wrong way.
I will say this: I have been on Facebook, mainly looking for the last couple days. See, Marty and I didn't even know we were going to do a show until this morning.
We talked about it anymore.
I think the timing was right. I prayed about this for a long time today, because I was like, is this the right time? I prayed about it, but then I stopped thinking about what we were going to talk about tonight, because I just kind of said, look, just give me the words, Lord, just put the words in my mouth. I don't want to think about this. I don't want to try to prepare a speech. Just tell me what what you want me to say, and then right before we go on the air, it all kind of crystallizes in my mind, and I've got an idea here, and my idea is it's the cross.
Well, getting gay married wasn't the only attack, if you will, against Christianity this week.
No, apparently a nice Christian girl lost her life to ISIS this week.
Not just that either.
Oh no,
our own president
this
week had to justify the beheadings of ISIS by saying, they don't have a monopoly on terror. A lot of terrible things have been done in the name of Christ throughout the centuries. Y'all remember the Crusades? Remember that? The Inquisition. Horrible.
Now, the Inquisition, I'll go along with. Okay, that was Torquemada, and it was the crown of Spain,
Yeah.
forcibly converting Jews here we go, forcibly converting Jews to Christianity, so that the crown could confiscate their property.
Right.
Okay, the Inquisition was about the church consolidating political power and getting rich in the bargain, and for individual priests and inquisitors to get some line their pockets. All right, that was a bad thing. But now the Crusades. Let's see. The Crusades were started because the Christians in Jerusalem had been under Muslim rule for about 450 some years,
somewhere around there. Yeah.
And the church was being persecuted.
Yeah.
And they were crying out for relief. And so the Pope at the time finally said, okay, we've got to do something.
Been fighting ever since.
And there were the Seljuk Turks were some nasty people. They were Islamists.
Yeah.
Not Islamic. Islamist. In other words, Islam is the supreme religion and must be carried by fire and sword throughout the world. Those who do not convert die.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds familiar.
So the original terror of the Crusades was started by Muslims.
Well, he said that people have been, like father rapers.
Mother stabbers?
Mother stabbers and father rapers to further the name of Christ. Now, I missed that. I missed where soldiers were told it was okay to rape and pillage, under the Christian banner. I missed that memo. I missed that in world history somewhere. Maybe it did happen, with some of those knights or the crusaders, Maybe some of them did do some crazy things. But I really don't think it was to further the name of Christ, regardless. See, I also noticed, since the president spoke about this, of course, that emboldened some of the more outspoken atheists like Richard Dawkins and that Neil deGrasse Tyson, whatever his name is.
Right.
Dawkins he put something on Facebook about the Jehovah God, being responsible for genocide, like Jews or...
Where?
Well, see, he starts talking about, from what I can understand, he uses something from Book
Joshua?
of Judges and Joshua, yes. And here's the thing. And Deuteronomy, because he's talking about the genocide was where God told the Jews, that they could go wipe out
the folks in Canaan?
Of Canaan, yeah. First of all, that wasn't like a genocide, like where the Jews said we're better than you guys. That was actually,
God
I've heard it postulated that it was more like God's judgment on people, like the Canaanites were supposedly a wicked people that worship false gods, etc., etc. But at no time does God direct genocide in the Bible.
Yeah, there's nothing about wiping an entire race off the planet. It was get the Canaanites out of that territory, and God set the boundaries for where the Jews were to push the people out, and never in recorded history have the Jews sought to go beyond those boundaries and wipe out a race.
No.
Now, they laid some cities to waste.
Well, see, again, it's the church is under attack, but it's just not in the ways that the church is wanting to think. You know what I mean? These arguments put forth by atheists and a huge part of the gay community that I've been reading all kinds of horrors, committed by Christians. And again, we've talked about this before. I don't remember anybody ever suggesting that we Christians have always been perfect. The fact of the business is we're no better and we're no worse than any other religion on this planet, as far as, have we all messed up. But see, one of the tenets of our faith is that all have sinned. All of us, every one of us. And I really think that one of the stands the church would really be better served taking would be that, yes, we are all sinners. And our churches are open to all sinners. Not people who commit sins that we approve of more than others, but all sinners. The church should be a hospital for broken souls, man.
Well, it's why I go. I mean, I go there, well, for two reasons. One, to worship with my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, and the other one, it's to take my sins and lay them at the cross and leave them there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One of the other tenets of our faith is we're supposed to love our enemies. I think that puts Christianity at least a notch above Islam, Mr. President. Islam does not preach anything about loving your enemies.
Quite the opposite, actually.
It talks about you can strike them above the neck, cut off all their fingers and toes, cut off hands and feet, and destroy with fire and sword, and blah,
You're
blah.
You're allowed to rape as well.
Yes.
If you're fighting a war in the name of Muhammad.
And make slaves out of unbelievers. There are all kinds of things that are condoned by Islam that are not condoned.
Well, see, now, that's another one that's being put out there, is that Christianity approved wholeheartedly of slavery, simply because there's a passage where Jesus is saying if you're a slave, you're supposed to treat your master with respect.
Yeah,
but your master said to be the point of what Jesus was saying was to be the best at whatever you are. Serve God no matter what you are.
No matter what condition you find yourself in.
If
serve
you're
God
a slave
and be
or
a good
free man.
and be a good example of a Christian.
Yeah.
Whether you're a slave or a free man. Of course, back then, the thing about slavery was you could only be a slave for 7 years. Slavery actually had an expiration date on it. And
well, see, that was one of the things in Jim Crow. The president said that Christianity backed Jim Crow.
No.
That the church backed Jim Crow. Now, I would say that there was probably a lot of Southern Baptist churches in the South that was pro-Jim Crow at the time.
Mm-hmm. Probably so.
Now, many of them will not talk about that today and will hang their heads in shame, as they should. But no, the church as a whole did not condone Jim Crow. But there are people who are hearing this message, and it's a lot easier for them to swallow that message coming from the president, somebody that they don't know, than it is for them to swallow the "we love the sinner, not the sin" that's coming from the church member that lives just down the street from them, or the one that they debate with on Facebook. The president is trying to sound, reasonable and rational. Doesn't matter if he's lying. And the best weapon against things like that and the outright falsehoods that are being put out there about us as Christians is that we live by example. If we're going to claim the mantle of Christianity, then we ourselves must be above that, a lot of this reproach. Like, our example should speak way louder than our words. We shouldn't have to tell people that we're a Christian right off the bat. They should know that. before they know anything.
Remember that